What if you found a portal to a parallel universe? What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds? Where it's the same year, and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Fandom Entanglement, and we are talking about Sliders, Season 3, Episode 3 in production order, but Episode 10 in airdate order. It's like the one episode where it's really, there's a discrepancy there. Most of them are kind of in order in Season 3, but they held off on this one. It's Dead Man Sliding. I am Damon Sugameli, and this is my co-host, Mike Bloxam.
Hello, everyone.
And joining us once again from earthprime.com, we've got Matt Hutaff. Welcome back,
Good
Matt.
evening. Welcome. Happy to be back.
Yeah. I know you wanted to join us on this one. Do we really need to remind everybody again what your Earth Prime wanted?
It's just one of those websites that talks about sliders. It's nothing too fancy.
One of the few that's like kind of still out there that's been around for quite a while. So
yeah, there's one that is done by Slide Cage.
Yeah,
that one I believe stays up to date. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh, he comments all the time. It's
oh great.
Yeah, Tom. Birchfield. Yeah. All right. So, and anything? Want to update us on anything since the last time you were on, or anything going on?
I've gotten my kids to watch a few more episodes.
Nice.
I am still plugging away on an update to the website. It's just one of those things where I almost don't know where to start. So do I start from the beginning and just rebuild from scratch, or do I try to configure what I'm trying to add to the website to the new design? I don't know. So again, you juggle that with 2 kids and a job and a life, and it gets busy.
Yeah,
it will happen at some point. I promise you that. That's why it's great to do these things, because at least every once in a while I can provide some cool documents or some scripts or whatnot to accompany the podcasts.
Yeah. You've got some stuff for us that we don't normally do, so that's good because I actually don't have like a lot of notes. Just because life has gotten so busy, we try our best with this, but I only get to watch it once, and sometimes I don't even take the notes when I'm watching it. I'm like, anyway. All right. So I guess, so I'm doing the rundown first, and then Mike, you'll do I'll chime in with some guest stuff, but I think you have some stuff anyway. All right. So.
Yep, for sure.
All right. So this originally aired November 29th, 1996, and the synopsis from the DVDs is: on a world where the legal system is in the form of televised game shows, Quinn is arrested, tried, and sentenced to death for the crimes of his double. We've got our usual cast: Jerry O'Connell as Quinn, Sabrina Lloyd as Wade, Clement Derricks as Rembrandt, and John Rhys Davies as Arturo. And our guest stars, if you want to get into it, Mike?
Sure. Lawrence Hilton Jacobs as the people's proponent, but also as himself. They said he was fresh off his newest comedy, like playing himself, but I don't even know who he is. It seems like he was prolific in the 90s, but
I don't either.
I think he was on Welcome Back, Kotter.
Okay.
Was that it?
Yeah, he went way back, if I remember correctly.
I haven't seen that in ages. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to call him through his IMDb again, but that, he did have a lot of one-offs with a lot of shows, but I didn't remember him. But.
Right.
We have Perry Reeves as Taryn. And I think Matt added a note here that he was Will Ferrell's wife in Old School.
I didn't add that. So, okay. Okay.
We got Frederick Lane as Phil. Damon, you mentioned he was
Yeah,
Marshall
he,
Edward Mars on 11 episodes of Lost. That's
yeah,
where
that's where I know him from.
Yeah.
That's where I recognize him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, of course, Lost.
yeah. Pretty much in like, well, not every season, but like throughout the whole run, like even season 6, he was in it. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he was in some of the Kate flashbacks, right?
Yeah, it was usually anything involving Kate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He was also in episode 12 of Firefly, and he played a ranger in the Babylon 5 episode, The Coming of Shadows, which we recently discussed during our appearance on Trek Exploration, because it was the episode that beat out Deep Space Nine's The Visitor for the Hugo Award in 1996.
That's
Wow.
right.
So,
That's
yeah,
right.
just a weird little connection there.
Right. Okay.
You know, if this was a year from now, I would not have remembered. But the fact that we just talked about it a few weeks ago,
Yeah, I know. It was
stuck in my
like
brain.
very recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lisa Riefel, I hope I'm saying that right, as Deanne Block, and Don Most as Skip Collins.
So,
And,
AKA Ralph Malph, right?
yeah, Ralph Malph on 167 episodes of Happy Days. I didn't even. That's just what it said on Wikipedia. I trust that's probably correct. I know
Yeah.
we usually do IMDb, but I know he was like on that show. That's where I remember him from. And the Star Trek connection with him is he played a character named Karan. It was in Star Trek Voyager, his 2-part episode Workforce, which I don't honestly remember, but I
I
remember.
remember the episode,
Yeah,
but
me
I
too.
don't remember the character.
I don't either. But I remember him from that Happy Days is like that's probably his most well-known role, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and we also had co-starring Brett Miller as prison guard, Robert DiTilio as MC. He another Babylon 5 tie-in. He appeared in 2 season 1 episodes. Apparently, both episodes were written by his brother, who was a writer on the show. So,
Okay.
yeah, nice little in there. And finally, we have Ed Wasser as the studio guard, and I recognize him right away because that's yet another Babylon 5 connection. He was the unforgettable Mr. Morden on Babylon 5. And he also has a Quantum Leap connection. He played a young executive in It's a Wonderful Leap. So
Is that the one where Sam could have done something to Donald Trump and chose not to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, he told him to invest in real estate.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is all. So this is all because of Sam Beckett. Huh?
It's all Sam Beckett's
Yep.
fault. Yeah.
I thought he was striving to put right what once went wrong.
Right. You ever see that Stephen Colbert thing that he did when that was Scott Bakula was actually on again, trying to change all that? That was like a bit.
No.
Oh, that was like
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, a long time ago I saw that.
that
Yeah.
was from like 8 years ago. That was funny.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And Stephen Colbert is getting canceled now. It's like anyway. Okay.
Let's go back to 1996, okay?
Right.
That'd be great.
Okay. Written by Nan Hagan, which that was post-traumatic slide syndrome, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So does that mean you're going to bring me back for State of the Art and this Slide of Paradise? I can just do the full Nan Hagan run.
Well, we'll see. I know we definitely have somebody else for those episodes. But we'll see if you want to come back, you can come back.
Got to collect them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was what the second one she wrote, Nan Hagan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. And directed by Richard Compton. I know that he's directed a bunch of these. And our worlds visited, according to you, Matt, are Justice World, and I think you added this Muppet World.
Yeah, because so when I noticed in your comment that these were the names that you were pulling from Earth Prime, I just went and looked to see what I had named.
Yeah.
The tag at the end of the episode, and it was called Muppet World, and which makes sense because I guess there's short, green, and moldy, right? Like Oscar the Grouch. So
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I put as much thought into it as the writers did, evidently.
Okay.
Well, I don't remember what it was supposed to be. I thought I was like, Yeah, that was such a weird ending. I'm like, okay.
We, so I went back and looked at a bunch of the different documents for the episode, and various versions of the script didn't have any kind of tag out world, and the writer's draft that Nan submitted that came before the production draft, it had like a half-page end world where they land on a world, and it's still daytime, and I know we'll get to that later, but they land on a world with talking horses, and the horses are amazed that humans can talk, and then it just ends. So if you think that the Muppet world was weird, I don't know where that came from, but that was a real head scratcher.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
They're starting to get into some weird stuff. It's
Right out of the gate.
yeah.
You tend to think that the beginning of the third season was awesome, but stuff like that, and then also the whole scrapped script with the dolphin in the pool and Arturo and Quinn boxing each other because they're so filled with rage because they're so smart. It's like there were a lot of really weird ideas at the front of the season too that thankfully got pulled out. I think that was the quality control issue that that left when Torme left as well. All of the ideas were suddenly game on.
I was gonna say there's quality control in season 3. In the beginning,
they got
I
a couple
guess.
through that were good.
All right, so well, you had some bullet points here. I guess these are all part of your first impressions, Matt.
Well, I guess my first impression of this is that this is a great episode for me. I remember because it aired 10th, but it was filmed 3rd. It had come after Desert Storm and Dragon Slide and some of those other, subpar, just really bizarre episodes. And I wasn't feeling Sliders at that point, and this one really brought me back in a way. So it makes more sense that it was supposed to air 3rd. And some of the dialogue, is kind of a continuation of things that happen from Double Cross. But, it worked to Fox's benefit in that it helped ground kind of the midpoint of the season. And I just thought it was a lot of fun. The cast really looks great. If you are a Sabrina Lloyd fan or a Jerry O'Connell fan, they're putting it all out there for you.
Yeah.
And Rembrandt's wearing that suit from the production stills from the 3rd season. Everyone looks great, except for Arturo and the Moo, like the judicial Moo. Everyone looks good. Everyone's having a good time. And I just thought it was a really clever world. So much so to the point that because this came out when I was in college, I remember writing a paper about this world, not this episode, about this world, like a utopia kind of situation. And, how people use televised, basically the game show aspect of judiciary stuff. And it harkened back. It just felt like it was a good conversation, and they have some good conversations in the episode in a way that felt very season 1 and season 2 that are just kind of missing by the end of the run. So I was really happy to see this. Plus lots of, and at the beginning of 3rd season, there is a lot of on location shooting. So it feels like a much more expensive show. So, seeing things like Universal City Walk, seeing things like, the MacArthur Hotel downtown, those things, like, it makes it feel like it's more expansive than Sliders usually is. And so I was really impressed with how it came together production wise as well.
Oh, yeah. All right. You want to go next, Mike?
Oh, sure. I'm with Matt. I rather like this episode. It's held together well. The premise for the world is actually quite plausible, I think. And there's some tension around how they would actually bust Quinn out of jail and escape in time for the slide. So similar to the previous episode with the war games, though it seems like this game show justice system just kind of popped up rather quickly in recent history, but we don't really get shown where the divergence was. I always like that when they kind of explain when and where the divergence happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just seems to be like it kind of came out of nowhere. But regardless of all that, I enjoyed it. I feel it's still one of the better season 3 episodes.
How about you, Damon?
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not a favorite episode. But I was kind of like, I think it's like, I think I'm equal with how I felt with like Rules of the Game, where it was just like, it's kind of like the same. It's like I'm feeling it definitely has a very season 3 feel to it, but it's still not like really low level yet. Like it's a little. I kind of say here, a few years ago, this would feel like a very far-fetched idea of doling out justice via a game show. And it sort of still does, but with the way things are going lately in in this country. We have someone in charge who thinks the presidency is his own personal reality show, trying to manipulate things. It just feels like a bizarre alternate reality that we're unfortunately already living in. So
Yeah. I mean, like with technology today, you can stamp your face. It's so easy to do what they're talking about in the show these days with
yeah,
Mid-Journey or other things. You're doing it in real time.
Yeah.
But hey, we've got game show proposals right now where there's a path to citizenship. So who's to say that this isn't something that
that's what I mean. Yeah.
some community or some state thinks is perfectly in line with what they need to do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's not far off from where we are now. We're just like we're in bizarro world now. Like sometimes I just wonder what the heck is going on. It's like
I know.
it's
And
absurd, and this is absurd, and we're living in absurdity right now.
What's crazy is that this was this may have been actually one of, if not the first, and one of Nan Hagan's first pitches to the show when she was hired for season 2. And it was written to be a repudiation of the media circus around the O.J. Simpson trial. So if you look at it through that lens, the idea of like tribal justice and other things like that, then it makes a bit more sense. But I mean, to your point, like this was supposed to be her throwing shade on the justice system, on the judicial process, and now it's like we're 30 years out, and we're looking at this and going, yeah, I could totally see that happening, and that's the scary thing. And I think that's when a good Sliders episode doesn't necessarily need to be always relevant, but it's really interesting when it becomes more relevant, like 20 years after the fact, like they were predicting it. And California Reich does something similar, with like with the migration stuff. I mean, I should go back and look at that one again too, because I wrote the initial review of that for Earth Prime like 10 years ago, and I can only imagine how scary and on point that script is these days. But this was Nan's commentary on O.J. Simpson and the whole thing, and which is funny because like this episode plays like a portmanteau of a couple different things from season 1 and 2. Like the game show aspect of the lottery, the Sliders have a very bad track record when they get involved with local competitions. Between luck of the draw and rules of the game, which would have aired production wise right before this one. So you have 2 back-to-back episodes where they're involved in some kind of televised game show where life is on the line. And then there's like the first season episode where Quinn's double was on trial for. Was it spray painting? I don't remember. Like it was at the beginning of The King is Back.
Right. Yeah.
He is on trial for something, and it's the same kind of thing where he's going to be executed or he's going to be for something minimal. So it was really interesting to see all of those elements come to play in this particular story, and done with a way that was both humorous at times, but then also very meaningful and ideological in the conversations that they have.
Yeah. So you added the alternate history stuff here, Matt.
Did I? Oh, yeah. So, in short, I mean, what's in the episode is that, at the very least, California has offloaded its judicial process, its legal system, to game shows. I couldn't get a sense from the episode if it was a nationwide thing. I mean, they talk about how they're going to air something at night, but a lot of daytime television it can be local, it can be regional. So I didn't get any indication that it was something that was across the U.S. So I didn't want to get too specific. In one of the earlier drafts of the script, they straight up say that this is something that happened in the 80s, but nothing more specific than that. The only other thing that I noticed in terms of alternate history is that this isn't the only show. So they don't have a monopoly on the justice process. They've got Justice Tonight was one of the shows that Taryn mentions when Phil almost gets fired for poor ratings. So that was the gist. The idea being that the judicial program, the legal process is put up to a plurality vote. So people that want to call in or use their Simon Says in the studio to to vote. That's pretty much it. And then the end result, especially if you go by some of Nan's notes, the idea was that without any money going towards lawyers, public defenders, incarceration, they're able to free up that money to better social services. So her idea was that with this in play, there'd be more money for homelessness. There'd be more money for food, for education. And the idea being that because we're not, we're not propping up like a for-private prison system, that we're just doing it all on television, that the end result is a net positive for society. That was what I was able to pull from the episode itself. The idea also that like the guy that was being whipped outside the studio, that was, to me, was definitely like a callback to when that kid was being caned in Singapore for vandalism. So, and the same thing with The King is Back, like that happened in '94. So the idea that Sliders has used that particular touch point in history for two different episodes, for two different worlds, was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, wow.
And then Muppet World is just, there's short, green, and moldy people, although the guy in the window looks like a regular person. So your mileage may vary.
That's true. Yeah, there was something I kind of forgot about that they said in the episode that they basically abolished lawyers, right? Like that happened. I'm like, oh, that's right. It's all right. All right. So, like I said, I don't know if we're gonna go exactly scene for scene, but we want to go through the things we noticed with this, or things with this. You can start, Mike.
Yeah, well, I kind of liked how right off the bat we get a nod to Double Cross when Quinn makes a direct reference to Logan's Spectrum being in their timer and reminding us that there's now a 400-mile range where they can land, which again makes sense in production order. But it's also a nice reminder. It looks like they might have moved it to be in like it was in November. It looks like it was for sweeps, maybe. That might explain why it got moved. If it was a better quality episode, trying to drag people back into watching the show. But yeah, both ways it works as a good reminder of why they're able to transport now between LA and San Francisco.
Yeah. And all those towns that they reference are real towns. And they're all in Central California, and they're all like sun-blasted little towns. Although I think one of them is like the capital of California for like flower production. So if you want to buy a rose, chances are it grew in like Lemoore or Wasco or one of those towns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is nice. And it's nice to see, and I know that City Walk is like right next door to Universal Studios, so it made it very easy for them for production purposes. But it was nice to just see them out and about and doing something like that.
Right. Yeah. I'll just say it too, like because they're doing that. They say it later. I liked the foreshadowing when they did the picture thing. And then it reminded me too, and as like I dug this out before, I have a picture of my face on. I think it's replacing McCoy. This is like from like probably 20 years ago at like Great Adventure or something. So like, hey, I did that too.
I definitely remember those booths being at like the Six Flags equivalent up in Northern California.
Right. Yeah. And what else did you have your Matt about Rembrandt getting tased?
Yeah, so I added a note just real early on, because in the first act when Rembrandt is tased, and then they actually make a point of having to get up and explain, that he blacked out for just a moment, and I would wager that that's because when this episode aired, it was like 1996, right?
Yeah.
And tasers were not as publicly visible as they are now, so people might not necessarily know what is happening to Rembrandt when he gets hit with that shocker, especially to the point where he would be knocked out, so it was good in that it established what it was and what it did to him, because when Wade does it to Phil later in the script, you don't have to ask why that was happening. She zapped him and he's out. But it was just one of those things I was thinking about because I watched it a second time today. It's like, he probably mentioned that because tasers were not a big thing until the mid 90s. So, and even then people, in certain portions of the country wouldn't know what we were even talking about.
Right.
Kind of like how they have Humvees all throughout season 3. There would be a lot of people that have no idea what a Humvee was in 1995.
Yeah.
97.
Well, that's another bit of foreshadowing within the episode too, showing, like you said, showing how the taser gets used so that they can then use it later on Phil.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm curious what you guys thought about the teaser though, because it's pretty funny. and the way that the tourist gets zapped with the dart.
Oh yeah.
But it just kind of ends, and you don't really have an indication of why she's pursuing them or what the stakes are.
Yeah.
It kind of left me wondering what was going on. Not in a bad way per se, because I still really like the episode, but it definitely reminded me of, like, I feel like this could have been moved up or moved back, like past the opening credits, just to kind of establish what is going on. Like maybe have him be arrested before the credits. But I just was curious what your thoughts were on that. Did the teaser end in a good way for you guys?
You know what? Now watching it, I mean, like, I know what the episode was about. So, but I'm trying to think, like the first time I saw this, if it, like, if I hadn't seen this before, yeah, that might bug me a bit, because it does seem a bit odd, and just like, and it seems as if is it Arturo maybe looking around, and like it seems as if they might have seen something happening, but they don't really acknowledge anything else. Like, hey, somebody just collapsed. Like, did they
from their
notice that or not?
perspective?
Yeah.
I don't even think they saw the person collapse from their perspective. I think they just saw the wallet and couldn't figure out whether or not it was some kind of like a honeypot or a sugar trap, like some kind of trap, And that's never really established either. Is that wallet, people are avoiding it because they think it's a scam or something, but they just walk off. And if you notice when when Act 1 starts, they're at the Royal Chancellor Hotel, which is maybe 10 feet from where they just were. So it clearly wasn't an issue for them. Upon rewatch, like 30 years ago, I didn't care, 30 years ago, it was not an issue for me. But just thinking about it, just as during this rewatch was like, oh yeah, okay. The stakes haven't been established yet. So I'm curious to see where this would go. I just didn't know if it was just me thinking that out loud or if that was something that was shared from other people that had watched the show.
I agree. It was kind of an awkward transition to the credits, because you're left wondering, like, what was the wallet for? Did they even notice that person collapse?
Yeah.
Maybe not. They just were more absorbed with the wallet and wandered off after putting it back on the ground. But yeah, there wasn't really there was no cliffhanger, I guess, to say come back after the credits.
Yeah,
not the credits, the whatever you call it, the opening theme.
Yeah, did that even happen? Was it in the teaser or was it after that? Like even Arturo was like just put the wallet down or something. It was like he could sense that something was going on, and that like we shouldn't be picking this up. Something bad.
Oh yeah, and Wade is like something about that wallet says stay away, and they're telling him to put it down, but there's no reason for them to be suspicious.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, but if I'd been to 50 or 60 parallel worlds at that point, I'd be suspicious about anything.
Yes, right.
Should be, right.
Yeah.
Should realize by now not to really get involved, right? So I mean, like I said, I'm not necessarily going scene by scene here. What do you guys think about what I have it here in the notes? Like, hey, I'll admit it, I'm a guy, but I'm noticing what Taryn's wearing, and it's just like it doesn't leave much to the imagination. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. It seems like they were really showing off. Like it's like typical this season where they're sexing up the female actors in this show.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I noticed it.
Well, you look at her, and then you look at even just the extras that are rollerblading around in the courtroom wearing next to nothing, and then when Wade puts on her outfit at Punky Pink's, there's just a lot of different sexy outfits. Taryn is actually she's pretty tame by comparison when you put her up against everyone else that's on screen.
Right.
It might just be the fashion of this world.
And looking back through all of the various documents that I have for this episode, the way that Wade originally got that outfit was that Arturo buys them off of a hooker. So I know that, I thought that was pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But like Taryn's outfits are they're pretty scantily clad, but I mean, at least they look good. The girl that was in Rules of the Game, it's just ridiculous. She's wearing like a sports bra and yoga pants.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
But if the bar scene I thought was pretty interesting, because it was so looking back at various versions of the script and looking back at the other documents, very little in terms of the dialogue changes in this episode. It stays pretty consistent, which is wild considering there are like 15 drafts of it. But it was really nice. I think the only difference in that scene and what ended up airing was that Diggs was supposed to be in this episode. He was supposed to be behind the bar wearing like a judge's robe and like a judge's wig, like the powdered wig. And he was the one that was going to give Arturo the betting sheet. But one of the things that I found, because I was also looking at the casting announcement for this episode, they had a lot of different speaking parts that they ended up just either consolidating or removing entirely. So like there was, a couple of different prison guards that had lines, and there was like a PA assistant that was in the production offices for the episode, for the Judgment Game. And between them and cutting Diggs out, I think they were able to streamline the episode a lot significantly.
Yeah, cool. What else do I have here? This was something else that kind of bugged me. Wherever was this like midway through or something? This is after. So this is after Arturo is trying to plead the case for him, right? Like he's his advocate or whatever, and then they're not giving him much time of the day. They're like, oh well, and Wade is basically like getting on his case, like you didn't try hard enough. Like this bugs me that she's like she's basically telling me you didn't try hard enough to plead this guy. I don't remember her sounding so smug and self-righteous this often in the show. It seems to happen a lot more than I remember it. Like, just come on. Like, I know this is just a story, but like, like, why does she always like have to act like this? Like best. Like, no, she doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like, economy of storytelling, there has to be conflict. And so her being grumpy about it, at least Arturo got a good dig in back about her 2 years of college poetry not being able to solve the situation either.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it's all serves that scene at the end where they're sitting waiting for Quinn's double to show up, and and he's Arturo is deeply apologetic for what he said at the prison, and then he's like, I might go to my grave wondering if I did enough, and Wade then has the encouraging lines about how she's not worried about stuff because she's got those guys, and it's like she feels safe because she knows that they're going to do whatever they can. So it's they do that a lot. Like they're in State of the Art. There's a whole thing where Remy is really upset that he doesn't contribute to the team just so that he can contribute to the team in that episode, and Quinn can say, "Hey, you contributed, good job." And then at the same time, Arturo and Wade are having a fight about the android. So like they set up they have these cycles of very simple conflict because they can't all agree all the time. So that's what I took it to be. But also, like rightfully stressed out about the situation. I would say that at least her fears and her frustrations toward Arturo they come from a place that's real. Like there's a real concern there.
Yeah.
So Arturo is they're at the courthouse, right? And then not the courthouse, at the game show. And Rembrandt and Wade and Arturo in this vintage old cab, which is hilarious. Like, because it's like a 60-year-old cab. I just thought that was amusing. That was a fun visual cue. It was just everything about this episode was weird, and how it's just very Hollywood. I guess it works to its benefit because the production offices for this game show are like this massive ballroom in an old converted hotel, and you've got these vintage cabs and these weird very period chairs, and everyone's running around at rollerblades and wearing white and pink shirts. It's a very specific style, and I don't know I don't know how intentional it is, but it just seemed very fun and interesting, and certainly colorful. Like they're definitely going for a more colorful, bright vibe in this season than they were in the previous seasons.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is that was it outside the hotel? Right. I noticed the one scene where I think it was Arturo and Wade were outside the doors coming in, and it's that's the shot from Double Cross. That's exactly where Logan was coming in when they closed it, when they did the power down. Right? Is that the
It's similar.
Shot,
It's not. No, so
It's
that
not?
one in Double Cross, that is at Union Station in downtown LA. It's the Metropolitan Transit Authority building. The one that they're in here, and it was funny, I had a friend that went to a wedding there, and I was trying to get him to remember where it was. And then because the new Naked Gun movie is coming out soon,
Right.
I was watching the original one with my wife and kids this weekend, and it's in there. So it is the tower. I don't know if you've seen Naked Gun. I haven't seen it. God, in like 35 years or something. But
yeah, me neither. It's been a long time.
the Ricardo Montalban character, his
right.
offices are in that building. It's called the MacArthur. It's a venue for like weddings and other stuff like that you can book out now, and a filming location.
Okay.
It does look similar with those really big paneled windows.
Yeah,
at the entrance. Yeah, it's a very striking look.
Oh, I see. I thought it was the same thing. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the actual trial?
The trial. I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
Well, yeah, I don't know. We didn't see the whole thing, of course, but we just kind of saw the entertaining snippets, I suppose, where the charges are read out, and then Arturo tries to defend it logically, and then gets booed and has garbage thrown at him. But then, as soon as they turn it into an entertaining story, like tell them the truth, and Quinn's like, they can't handle the truth. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we can do, and then they just tell them the actual story of sliding, and I like how the audience just applauded it, like, oh yeah, this is great story. Yeah, this is good defense. We love it.
Yeah,
they still found him guilty, but
right.
I thought it was one of the most creative ways for them to explain their situation.
Yeah, it was
that the show had ever done. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no,
Sorry.
I was gonna say, and then it's like basically it's like, oh, he found guilty. So now it's like, let's make a deal. What is it? Behind door number 1, door number 2? Like, which is your fate? Like, oh, it's the guillotine you chose. You could have gotten lethal injection.
Yeah.
Oh, too bad. Like, what?
Lucky for them, they got the guillotine, right? I don't think lethal injection would be quite so fun to watch televised.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Did you guys watch a lot of daytime television growing up? Or like People's Court, or Judge Judy, that kind of thing?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I used to see some of it, yeah.
So in your mind, when you look at the Judgment Game, how many trials do you think happen per episode? Because Quinn's trial went pretty quickly. They were maybe in there for 20 minutes, right? So do you think they do it for like an hour a day, or is it like one of those Lipschitz Live situations where they're on like all the time?
Okay. Yeah, I kind of got the impression it was like that was like one episode, and then they next. But yeah, like not like I know like the People's Court is usually like a few different ones. I got the impression it was like a game show, like this is like, okay, at the end we get to decide their fate, and this is the prize or whatever. Like that's how I interpreted it. It was like a game show basically.
Yeah.
So like a half-hour thing. Yeah.
Okay. The call in, and it was a live show, live broadcast.
Yeah.
So
right. I just thought it was weird that they would front end the episode with the murder trial and then have the adultery trial afterward.
Yeah.
Did you hear the MC after he's let off? They're talking about some woman being on trial for adultery.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very weird.
So you were asking if that location was the one used for Double Cross. It was also used in the Prophets and Lost episode in season 4. It's the Oracle's Temple.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I was watching it, I thought it was amusing that the guy that's caning the dude, he's got like a full on leather outfit, which I thought was just way over the top. That was pretty much my comment about Linwood Boomer, was just that it's like at the time he was kind of a has-been, but then he had Malcolm in the Middle go on the air, so he was the executive producer of that show, and I think that ran for ages. So at least he had some later in life success.
Yeah. Right.
Matt's comment here about the guy outside the studio talking about an LA audience. You thought he was a bookie.
Because he keeps looking at a notebook, right? Like he's definitely looking at something. I was trying to understand what his role in the whole situation was.
Well, I believe that's the same guy played by Robert DiTilio, who's credited as the MC, who was saying, "I had to pay the piper," and that's when your leather guy starts whipping the the spray painter guy, because it's the same guy. But then like you said, maybe this was a victim of the the line cutting and combination, or sorry, not line cutting, but combination of lines into two characters.
Could be.
But yeah, you're right. He's talking to them, and he's writing in this red notebook.
Yeah.
No explanation why he's doing that, but he was doing both things. So it's almost like he's another game show host in a way.
Yeah.
When we first see him, because he's saying, you spray painted, so now you get 10 whippings or canes or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that scene, there was supposed to be the guy that his car who was spray painted. He was supposed to get up there. He was like this Asian stereotype that they were going to have him come up and talk about how his car was the one that was spray painted, and that was what was going to lead to what's his name being caned. But I'm glad that they took it out, because you really don't need to have a crazy Asian stereotype for this scene at all.
Yeah.
It just seems like every character that they took lines away from to give it to the main cast was a benefit for this episode.
Yeah.
Well, that's and this is the point where they break into the studio, and I just Rembrandt says, "What's that noise?" And Wade immediately knows that it's the sound of an editing room. How in the world would she know that?
Yeah.
We don't know anything about her background involving with television production, so it just seemed like a strange little. Just let's move the story along here. Here's a don't mind us.
Yeah. Well, we'll mention it later. It was something I wanted to point out. I see that it's the goof too, but like we mentioned it later about how do they know what Taryn's name was? I don't remember them ever telling them that.
You're right. So I went back and I rewatched it today specifically to figure out when that would have happened. And Taryn's name is given on screen when Phil talks to her. So Quinn would know it. But then Wade and Arturo and Rembrandt use her name before they ever hear it. So it was one of those things where, for, again, economy of storytelling, they are trying to make sure that we know who they are talking about, but they wouldn't know necessarily until Wade had broken in and spoken to her directly. Then she might have heard Taryn's name, but they're using her name way before they would have known it.
Yeah. Unless someone at the bar knows who she was, and when they were trying to figure out, who is she, what was she doing, maybe they gave the name then. But
yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
Something off screen that we didn't see. But yeah, you're right. It's probably just so that the audience knows who they're talking about.
Exactly. And I did go back through and look at the scripts to see if it was something that was cut or if it was something that I was missed, and that was not the case.
Yeah.
But Damon, I don't know if you wanted to jump in on your comment about deepfakes and whatnot. Now, this is a pretty good spot for it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure exactly where. It was like they're realizing that Quinn's going back to the picture, that they obviously must have doctored these videos even for the Quinn of this world. So he was innocent as well, and it was what's his name? Frederick Lane's character. That he was like the producer of the show, right, or something.
Phil.
Yeah, Phil.
Yeah.
And he was he's the one that actually set this up and manipulated stuff with what we would call a deep fake now. So it's very weird how this is such a hot button issue right now with I have a lot of feelings about AI and stuff. I'm very wary of all of this stuff. My wife uses Chat GPT for descriptions for tours, and it's okay, but where do we stop using AI? Because we're at this point where it's literally starting to happen. People are getting fooled by things all the time online, and it's ridiculous. And it's we're getting to a point where it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. So it's I mean, I don't know what you guys think about it. This is
Have you seen the Google platform, the Veo 3 platform, where you can just type in a prompt and it'll give you a fully rendered shot with dialogue, with audio involved as well? It's pretty ridiculous. And if you so it's a purchased thing where you can buy access to the model, and it can do wild stuff. You can take a picture of yourself and you can have that be the model for something. So if you really wanted to, you could create this kind of situation with very little overhead on your part because it's all being handled on Google servers. And it's, I mean, obviously it's not going to be perfect, but it's close enough. And between that and vocal cloning, which you can do very easily these days, you can create a situation where there's reasonable doubt.
Right.
And obviously that situation didn't exist back in 1996, but it's something that if you were to try and like revisit this episode today, you could certainly cast reasonable doubt on any number of the proceedings that are happening on the judgment game, just because they are playing so fast and loose with the law.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, isn't this like our president's whole platform is fake news? Like, and
yeah,
you know, again, we try not to get too political here, but like, I think let's always agree that just, no, I mean, it just happens. It just happens on this where we're talking about stuff. I'm like, I can't help but be reminded of the craziness we live in right now. And it's scary. Like,
yeah, it is scary.
I don't know.
I mean, it can be fun to play with the tools though, but it is absolutely frightening what can be done. And just, you can see some of the stuff that's being done as examples of how it can be used for ill. And it's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, that the one big beautiful bill didn't include any of that. They were able to get the protections for AI companies pulled out of the bill, right? So
I have
the little victories.
Wow. Yeah.
I will say though that the one, like, just to circle it back to sliders, I would say the one weak point I have in this episode is that the scene where they reveal that Phil is the one that's committing the crimes and they're just stamping his head onto Quinn's double's body. I felt like that was, and I keep saying this economy of storytelling thing, it would have been nice if instead of it being Phil, it had been like the bodyguard that was with Taryn, and then they put Quinn's face on him. That way, like, Phil has some muscle with him. Like, Phil's not the one that's, if I were the producer of a show, I would not be the one doing all the dirty work myself. You know, I would have someone doing it for me. And then when the two of them come in to confront Taryn and Wade in the production offices, then there could be more of a tussle. And there's, you know, Phil's still the one pulling the strings. Because at the end of the episode, you don't really get the feeling that he's been arrested. He's just kind of slinks off defeated, you know, as Taryn wants to give out the story. But I think that if there had been something where the guy that was working with Taryn, it would have made it a little bit more personal because she worked with that guy. And Phil mentions like, oh yeah, he's great. You know, you're the best. So there's a working relationship there. And then also it shows that he's delegating, you know, the true brutality of this stuff to these independent contractors. So that was, I mean, if you can really just put someone's head on someone's body and it's not an issue and it can be done in real time, and I would have someone else pulling the trigger for me, as it were.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, I agree with that. What else we got?
Well, I mentioned like at the end, and I didn't catch this the first time when I was watching it this afternoon. I saw that when the vote came in for the guilty verdict, like, you know, they've got the Simons that people are pressing, and I swear, like, you should go back if you haven't watched this episode in a while. And this is to the audience, like, if you haven't watched it, go back and look just for the scene where all of the extras that are there in the room are pressing the Simons, because every one of them is pressing it in a different order, or they've got a different things to, like, one guy is pressing it twice and then tapping a button in the middle. It's clearly the toy, right? Like, I'm not making this up. It's definitely the Simon from when we were kids. And no one is using it the same way, and it is just ridiculous. But all that is to say is that when they finally read the verdict, they've got a PA that comes in and hands Don Most like just a piece of paper. And you would think that if they've got this kind of thing where they can tabulate it either by a phone or via vote online, that they would have like some big chyron, or they'd have like some big button at the top of the stage where the judges are sitting, and it would say, you know, guilty or not guilty. So I just thought that was like, in an episode where they definitely put a lot of money towards the production budget, like, they really cheaped out on that, and I thought that was funny.
I wonder if that was just for theatrics, though. Like for him to announce it just from reading from a piece of paper, very kind of old school. You know. But the other theatrics they had, there was the sexy executioner who spins the wheel and reveals that hilarious watermelon on the guillotine 3D animation. It was like, wow. They couldn't have just had a picture or something of the guillotine. They had to have that cheesy CGI
Yeah.
And that was perfect. That really worked for me.
Yeah.
Because it was like, because it leaned into the sillier aspects of the trial.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
and Don Most's delivery of all of his lines was really well done. He was hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. I didn't put it there, but he was just the right level of like, it was so corny that it was so good. Like, it was just like, yeah, he was perfect in that role.
Yeah. He really didn't pull any punches.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that scene where Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was the people's proponent. Jimmy Walker was supposed to be in that role. They had actually hired him, and then for whatever reason they pulled him. And I was looking back through the casting notes, and they were very clear. Like, he receives no credit, he receives no residuals, blah 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 blah. Like, they were putting a stop to Jimmy Walker, like, in a big way. Right before this went into production. So I don't know if Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was a very last minute situation, because I don't know exactly when they started filming it. The final script that I have is sometime in September, but I would have imagined that they would have had something done by that point, too soon to air date otherwise. And then they had to find someone else because Jimmy backed out or something happened. But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I remember Jimmy Walker.
Dynamite, even.
Dynamite.
We were talking about how Phil confronted Taryn and Wade on his own. It didn't make sense to me how during that stick up he just let Wade wander right by. She goes over to the desk, picks up the taser behind her back, and then it wasn't very smart for somebody who coordinated all this video editing and framing other people. But even then the taser must have been set to a low setting or something, because he doesn't even really flinch the first time she uses it. Meanwhile, we saw Remy fall down pretty quick at the start of the episode when he got tased. So just, some of the directing there could have been, or I don't know if that was part of the script or whatever, but there could have been some better massaging of the action there to make it a little bit more realistic, because like, there's no way he would let Wade just walk over. He had a gun pointed at them. He would have said, no, stop where you are.
And was it a dart gun or a real gun?
Good question. I didn't look closely enough. Maybe it was a dart gun. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. If it was a dart gun, then this is one of like 2 episodes of Sliders that doesn't actually have a real gun in it. One of my buddies, Mike, who's also a Sliders fan, he watched all the episodes and he discovered that the only episode was The Guardian. But if this one has a dart gun, then you can massage it and say that this also is, because it would make sense. Even Quinn at one point says, "What's a Saturday?" or his double says, "What's a Saturday night special?" And so that would infer that there aren't guns on this world, because crime is, Singaporean, or it's so, you're incarcerated so quickly and so punitively that people wouldn't have guns. It might even be like an Australia style situation where guns are just simply, they've been banned. I don't know how that would work. All the Second Amendment people here, I'm sure they would have had a field day with that even in the 80s on a parallel world. But it's interesting that he's confronting the 2 of them, and even then he doesn't have a ballistic gun. He has just a dart gun.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'll rewatch that scene. I'm curious now what style it was. It might have been the same dart gun that Taryn used at the start.
Yeah, exactly. And it still would make more sense if he was facing off the 2 of them, if he had the other guy with him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. What did you think of like the way that they slid out on this? He's like, "You got to trust me, guys," and they jump off that cliff.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that is something that, when they came into this season, they knew that they had some certain ideas for scenes that they wanted to do. And one of them was sliding off a cliff, because that beat is in every single version of this outline going back to when she was pitching it in like 1996. I mean, the idea was always that the escape was going to happen with them doing a cliffside jump into the wormhole.
Nice.
And I think it's cool. I don't know how the physics would work out. If you were one of those people that goes, all right, conservation of mass and energy, if they would have just gone flying out of the vortex when they land on the next world, like just really shot out instead of just kind of landing in the grass. But it was certainly interesting. It was, and I'm going to go back at some point and look and see if it's the same shot of the cliff from the Slide of Paradise, because I feel like it is. Like they
Oh,
reused that shot. Um,
yeah.
but I thought it was cool. It was a little abbreviated. Did it feel at the end to you like things were a little bit rushed? Like they barely drive, they barely get out of the prison, and all of a sudden they have to immediately stop, and they're at the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like it could have been paced a little bit better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit.
But I thought, I mean, they used the Quinn double really well. The fact that they previously said that he's a welder, and I appreciated that he wasn't a super smart Quinn. You know, they've shown a couple dummy Quinns in the past, and they will in the future. But the fact that he was a welder and that came back and he was able to create like a little escape box underneath the van was really clever.
Yeah.
I thought it was inventive. There were earlier drafts of this where they were going to create some kind of crazy diversion where Arturo was going to come in and claim like that he got to spend the final moments with his son, like Quinn was going to be his son, and then the others were going to scale the cliff and plant explosives around the perimeter of the the perimeter of the jail as a diversion, so that when they go off, Arturo could help Quinn escape the jail, and then they were going to they still did the cliff dive, but
Right.
so I think like the way that they handled it, it made sense. You know, it was I didn't roll my eyes or question the logistics of it. They were going to have their nighttime show, and they were able to break out and do their thing from there. I mean, I'm surprised that the camera cries didn't follow them to the cliff and look down to see. They just kind of stood there and waited for Taryn to say her thing. But it was very clever. Like there was a lot of cleverness in this episode. I'll give it to them. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the conversations that Taryn and Wade have about crime, and the ones that Rembrandt and Quinn's double and Arturo have? You know, there's balance. Do you think that they're balanced conversations? Do you think that they had some good points to make on either side? You know, which way would you lean? Like, would you prefer to be in a world like this, or would you prefer the system we have today?
Well, well, the system we have could definitely use some improvements, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, not a game. I mean, I don't think it should be like this at all. Like, this is just like
it shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be decided by the public.
Right.
You know, there wasn't even proper evidence, counterpoints, etc., given during the game show. So
Sure.
But I mean, Arturo's point was something about a world where innocent people are being potentially punished. That's happening in our justice system too.
Right.
So it's I would love to live in kind of a crime-free world where you could leave your wallets and purses wherever you want without fear of being picked up by somebody. But
I mean, I would say I definitely see like what even what Arturo was saying, and he said like no, like I don't I appall this at all, but I see what they're trying to do. Like he always has this logical like I think he even said it in Luck of the Draw, where it was like, you know, you have to kind of admire the end result, even if it's kind of barbaric. They figured out, this is the way that they figured it out. Could they figure out a better way? Sure, but like we need to try to figure out something like this. That's
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
When I was listening to that conversation back between him and Rembrandt, that was my immediate thought as well. Like, this is definitely like, it harkens back to that conversation between Arturo and I forget who he was talking to, whether it can't be Rembrandt, right? Because Rembrandt at that point is with the woman the lottery winner who's going to die, but whoever he's talking to, maybe it's Quinn. But yeah, it definitely resonated with me in the same way. Like, these are people that are clearly aghast at the situation and clearly involved in like the worst aspects of it. But he still takes a moment to step back and recognize what's going on and why people would behave the way that they do in this world, which is something that, you know, going forward on this show is in short supply.
Yes, exactly. Like, pretty much when Arturo left, that's kind of like when we lost that. Even before that, we're kind of losing it a bit, but yeah.
How did you guys feel about the whole way that they figured out where Quinn's double was?
I'm trying to
remember. Going and tracking down Deanne Block at the Punky Pink.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was an odd thing because they just Taryn drops her name at the start, and then Wade recalls that information, and then I don't know how when she goes in, how she knew which one was Deanne. They weren't wearing name tags or anything, but she
Okay.
just walks up to her and goes, "Oh, you're Deanne, right? Yeah. Well, I'm knocked up with his baby. I just want some money
Okay,
from him so I
yeah.
can fly home."
Mhm.
She's like, "Oh, you can have him. Here's my address. He's staying with me."
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
how distracted I was this week. I was trying to remember, like, okay, so now the whole thing at that club, yeah, that it seemed weird to me. That was just kind of like, I don't know if we really
Her
needed
outfit was
that.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely
For
kind
me,
of
the
weird.
funny thing with Deanne is that the actor that plays her, I had a buddy in college that I never watched Sliders with friends. I was in college; it was strictly a one-person affair. But
Mhm.
for this particular episode, I had a friend who who really dug Lisa Raffel,
Oh,
and so he watched it with me, and he ended up. Lisa actually was friends of a friend, and so
oh,
she ended up coming to a party that we were all at together, and
wow.
it was. I mean, like that's like the 6 degrees of separation when you live in Los Angeles. But I just thought it was hilarious that the one time I got someone to watch the show with me was because of this, this part actor and this bit part actor.
That's pretty
But she was
cool.
on. I think she was on. And he was in love with her from like Empty Nest. Is that the show with? Yeah, she was one of the daughters. Like after one of them left, she came in as another
Oh,
daughter, and so that's
okay.
where you saw her first.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't put any notes in because there weren't any shows I'd watched, but I saw she had some pretty substantial, like, repeat roles in a number of different shows.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
she's had some good success with landing a character and keeping going with it. But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
For me personally, I thought that the fact that they referenced her name so early on in the episode, and that Wade was able to recall it in a moment of panic, like
Yeah.
that was a good way to kind of like to set the stage early on. And so if you're paying attention, it's there.
Mhm.
So when she references it again, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. And then them just kind of hanging out outside the house on the Universal backlot was like, it was just like a nice scene, there's so few scenes like that in the third season of Sliders where they're just sitting around and talking, and a lot of them
Mhm.
happen at the beginning of the season, and it's just a nice way for them to kind of reflect on what's going on and show that they're there as a team before it descends into the buffoonery of Quinn to like running around in a like a full on like Jersey accent and spiky hair talking about Chicago Bob, and that reminds me, like, what did you guys think about the second Quinn in this episode? Do you think it was a good show? Like, it was interesting? Like, did you think it was fun or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was different. I mean, like it's kind of like what you said, that it was a little refreshing to not have him be like a brainiac, and he's just kind of like this ordinary guy. But it was also just like he wasn't capable of murder either. Like he's like, I wouldn't do that. Like that wasn't
Right.
me. I swear that wasn't me. So yeah, I mean, it was interesting.
yeah, I thought Jerry O'Connell did a good job acting as this different Quinn.
Mhm.
Like I could tell it was a totally different personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone who had a totally different background from most of the Quinn doubles that we meet. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought it was good. It was a nice way to write it as a like a divergent
Mm-hmm.
a divergent Quinn who's just got a different skill set, and obviously some of it led to a bit of petty crime, but
Mm-hmm.
And 2 DUIs before the age of 21. Let's not forget.
yeah, apparently yes.
And it wasn't like him earlier in the episode where he does that little over embellishment that Jerry O'Connell tends to do, when he's trying to tell her, like, how can you live with yourself? Like,
Right.
he went on that. He
Yes.
went on that like that typical like I see why
Yeah.
some people don't like his acting, because sometimes he gets a little too, he overdoes it sometimes.
Yeah. Jerry's outrage is always on point. Like when he gets it, his indignation it's very palpable when he's, when he was getting all up in Terrence's face. I mean, I thought it was good. He's definitely showing some emotion, but it was definitely over the top.
Yeah.
He was all over the top.
Yeah. All right. Was there anything else that came up in this? I think you had one more thing,
Well,
Mike.
I guess just the landing on the next world. I think someone mentioned it earlier. Shouldn't it have been still nighttime instead of broad daylight?
I
Yeah.
honestly did not notice either. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. This is another
Yeah.
inconsistency.
It's not the only time this has happened.
I
I'm
know
sure
it's
it will
not.
happen again.
No. It happens all the time. Like Mike, my buddy that also writes for Earth Prime, like he made it like one of his running gags is in his reviews of episodes is when they blow the timeline or when they just can't keep basic continuity.
Mhm.
And so I'll give them credit for this. They say that they're going to be there for 2 days, and they're there for 2 days.
Yeah.
So I'll
Okay.
give them like the whole daytime slide. But I went back and looked at the scripts just to make sure that, because occasionally, especially with episodes that are very different, like the original drafts for Time Again and World, like that timeline, if you try to follow it, it just gives you a headache. But with this episode, I thought maybe it was a night scene that they ended on, and then they just had to change it to day because they were doing something really quickly.
Mhm.
But no, even like even in the writer's draft, when they slide into the talking horses world, they slide into daytime. So it's just one of those things where just whatever.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'll give it's an entertaining romp of an episode, so I'll let it slide.
Yes.
No,
yes.
no pun intended. No.
All right. If we got nothing else to mention, I guess we'll.
Well, that kind of nicely transitions us into the goofs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you had a couple here, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the first one I saw, and it's a real blink and you'll miss it kind of thing. When they first show the establishing shot of the editing room,
Mhm.
there's a giant monitor with like Quinn's head rotating on it, and then when they cut back to it a second time, the chroma keyed green screen that's there, they didn't put the CGI for Quinn's head or whatever back on that screen. So unless you're looking for it, it's not a big deal. But I did pick it up because I'm doing a rewatch podcast, so I'm paying attention this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about Taryn's name because Phil does say, "Excellent, Taryn. Well done. You're the best."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But while Quinn is struggling with the manacles, but right, we don't know how Wade and the others learned her name. But,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question about Phil? Do you think that it would have been more nebulous of him being the bad guy if he hadn't been wearing such sleazy clothes with his hair slicked back? Like if they put any kind of subtlety into how he looked, because when I was watching it, and I just, those are the things I look for nowadays. I look for how are they trying to telegraph these people, and he was wearing like the shark skin blazer and like the turtleneck, and his hair was so slicked back, and all I could think of when I saw this guy is there's something definitely. I would never think that this guy is on the level just by looking at him. And that's if that's the story they're trying to tell with the visual, then they succeed. But if they'd had the bad guy have a henchman, then I feel like they could have maybe made him like they could have tempered him a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Curious what you thought. Like if it was so obvious on your end when you were watching it again.
Yeah, he something just seems sleazy about him. I mean, also he always plays these types of characters like
yeah,
he's typecast in that role. Like Frederick Lane, he's like this tough guy. Is like I don't want to mess with him. Like I know something shady about him. Even when he was the marshal on Lost, he was just like there was something about him that was like yeah, he had it in for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what my wife calls script analysis with the way that they're dressed and like there's a reason why they wear the things they wear to tell the audience, like to tell the people like, okay, this is what to look for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, when I see a guy like him, I think that they should put him in clothing, and this might have been a situation or a function of when they had more speaking roles in the episode. Like Phil did have a flunky named Scott that had like just a couple of lines, and he tases someone at one point too. That if they had just tempered him a little bit, then and made some of his dialogue just a little bit more even keeled, like hadn't said, "Hey, Taryn, I think you're losing your touch," because she questioned something early on. That the reversal might have been more effective, but like I said, you've only got 44 minutes economy of storytelling, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly. I just thought it might have played better to today's audience to do it that way.
Yeah.
How about the light levels in those air ducts? The ventilation ducts were enormous to begin with, and then
I know.
quite well lit. So
I feel like Sabrina could have sat up in one of those ducts.
yeah, no kidding.
It was huge. It was comically huge.
Yeah.
And then I noticed the video camera that Quinn knocks off the wall in the jail isn't even wired into anything. Like it comes off kind of in one piece. And it's not attached to the wall with anything.
Yeah.
Screws, it looks like. So
That's right. He's just smashing that off, and it's just,
yeah. I think it would have been more effective if it had been dangling there off the wall afterwards, as opposed to just him kind of bashing with a stool after it fell to the ground. But
Totally.
Yeah.
They, you know, it's 1996 technology. We assume technology about the same on this world. There probably wasn't wireless connection there.
Did you notice, by the way, in the courtyard that there's another convict there talking to someone, and they don't react at all when Quinn is freaking out and blowing up the camera, and then being dragged out by 3 cops? It cuts to a scene, and those 2 people are just casually talking while the guard that's watching them is just looking at them like they might as well not even be in the same room as the Sliders.
Wow. Wow. I did not notice that.
Oh, and then the other thing I noticed when they reveal that the video is faked, they show Phil's head being moved onto Quinn's body. Shouldn't it have been the other way around?
100%. Yeah, that confused me too.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. I just like something.
That's yeah. I'm sure that wouldn't have been in the script specifically, but somebody who was doing the visuals there kind of got things back.
Yeah. It should have started with Phil walking around doing his thing, and then they superimposed Quinn's head on the still shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Okay.
So
memorable lines. I didn't have any, but you guys did. So I didn't have any. I just
yeah.
Hey, I've had a busy week, man. I
You are forgiven.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about lines per se, although it's funny that you brought up Quinn's like indignant diatribe toward Taryn. I thought that was pretty fun because he was clearly passionate about it, even though it was a little bit of an overreaction. But I thought that Arturo's justice delayed is justice denied kind of counterbalance to the whole situation. I thought that was it was well spoken and it was compelling. Because Rembrandt is like he's so outraged, and Arturo is trying to funnel that energy into being productive and trying to solve the situation, and he's just trying to say, "Hey, Rembrandt, man, this is working for them, and people were fed up, And so I just thought that was like a nice little way to just punctuate that.
Yeah.
The only I usually have more, but the only one that really stuck out to me was when they're talking about how to maybe get a retrial or something, and Arturo says, "Unless we can prove special circumstances," Wade replies with, "I think being a double from another dimension should qualify."
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to prove.
Yeah. Well, and he basically said that like, yeah, well, nobody's gonna like believe that or something. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, anything else you want to, share in your production stuff here, Matt? Or I know you mentioned a few of it, but
yeah. So I have thanks to special shout out to James Sparrow. He and I have been able to aggregate a number of documents. He is a Sliders super fan. He contributed a bunch of articles to Earth Prime like 25 years ago. He was the one that bought all the magazines and scanned them and all that stuff. He has gone out and done a tremendous amount of work tracking down information, tracking down scripts, talking with some of the writers. So between my collection and his, we have a really good idea of how this particular episode evolved. And so I thought I would just start by sharing how some of the casting might have turned out otherwise. It's always fun to kind of play a what if. So in addition to Lisa Raffel for Deanne, they were looking at Soleil Moon Frye, aka Punky Brewster. They were looking at Giovanni Ribisi's sister Marissa, Emily Proctor, who played Ainsley Haynes on The West Wing.
Okay.
And then a couple people that weren't that were Sliders contributors, Sliders actors that weren't in this episode were Chase Masterson. So she came back as Kelly Wells, and then Marnie McPhail, who was Quinn's mom in season 4, was also possibly tapped for Deanne Block, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And then for Phil, Brian McNamara, who ended up becoming Inspector Reed in Murder Most Foul, and then Michael Michael McKean, aka Nigel Tufnell from Spinal Tap,
Oh, Michael
and
McKean.
they went out to him and he passed like right away.
Oh, wow.
And then I had mentioned that Jimmy Walker was going to be
Right.
the host, but in a lot of the earlier drafts and a lot of the earlier pitches, like the earliest person for People's Proponent, and this was a role where Lawrence Hilton Jacobs' dialogue was actually two different roles. Nipsey Russell, I don't know who Nipsey Russell is. I'm sorry to Nipsey Russell. I don't know. He was slated to be the People's Proponent.
Okay.
And then, like I mentioned, Diggs was going to be in this episode. Yeah. He only had a couple lines, but they were really kind of like with Benish in the first season. They were trying to throw Diggs into every episode they could at the beginning of season 3. So there was his shot. Then there was a number of different speaking parts, like I said, that either they never appeared or they were considerably reduced in lines. Like there's a prison guard at the end of the episode that just says it's your call. Like when he's talking about whether or not Quinn wants to do the international remote. That guy had more lines. There was another prison guard who beats up Quinn. There was another police officer who almost beats up Arturo when Arturo chases Taryn out of the chancellor. Mm-hmm. The police officer tells him what particular law gives her the authority to do that, and he threatens to arrest Arturo for getting in the way of a legal bounty, basically. Yeah. Then there was Mr. Chang. That was the stereotypical Asian person that they thankfully cut from the episode. Yeah. And then the map to the stars vendor at the beginning, he was going to have some lines. So all of these people, they either are there in a very small way or they were eliminated from the script entirely. Yeah. And then, so I have the original outline for this episode. It was resubmitted for season 3 in June of 96, but Nan mentioned that it was from a pitch that she had submitted in August of 95. Mm-hmm. So, and that was one of like 15 different ideas that she had. And maybe at some point we can go through all of the different ideas that were pitched that I have access to that didn't come to fruition. But in this particular episode, the idea was, again, it was always about showing what a circus it was for the O.J. Simpson trial. Yeah. And that was literally what her pitch was. The intent was to show O.J. Simpson's trial for the circus it was, a subversion of truth and justice played for the viewing population. Yeah. So when they land, Quinn's immediately picked up for murder. That remains the same. Mm-hmm. At trial, evidence is presented and the mob roars or boos approval. Then a panel of judges, much like in boxing and wrestling, score each attorney's efforts. So there's a back and forth between plaintiff and defendant side. And then the trial lasts for 3 days. And they won't let the trials go any longer than that because that's when people get bored with the proceedings. Mm-hmm. So either Quinn goes free or he's executed. And then that's when they show the video of Quinn killing someone. Only in this, it's a cop. It's not just like some random person with a briefcase. Okay. Then they do the story about sliding. But then the mob is thirsty. They declare Quinn guilty because they want to see someone die on television. Then they stall just in time to slide, and they do so in front of the mob. And so that was the original pitch. So a lot of the flavor that we see in the later episode, in the finished product, isn't there. Yeah. In the pitch itself, one of the ways that Wade instead of tracking down Deanne, Wade finds Quinn 2's address by applying for a job on the Judgment Game show. Then also Quinn interacts with members of Death Row, many of whom are nice people, and who also proclaim their innocence. So there's this undercurrent of how many people are being affected by the show, like an Innocence Project kind of thing. How many people are being unjustly imprisoned because of this gambit? And one of the things that was cut in the script itself, in the finished product, was I think it mentions that when Phil gives another bounty to Taryn, he says, "Oh, there's Golan. He's out in the valley." Well, I'm guessing is named after the producer Bruce Golan for the show. Oh. In an earlier version of the draft, they revisit the editing room where they talk about, they've got Golan's profile as well, and they're going to stamp him on the next person so they can get their next murder trial. So Golan is being set up as well. And then I mentioned that Arturo pretends to be Quinn's dad to have one last night with his son, and then they help Quinn escape when Quinn's double sets off a bunch of explosives. And at some point in one of the drafts, Quinn's double is like, you need to take me with you, because if you don't, then they're just going to arrest me for something else. And I'll get back on the show again. Like, I'm never going to be free of this. They're going to always get me. So that was excised at some point, which is good. Then the outline is so wild. I'll see if I can share it with you. I'll see if I can put it up on Earth Prime after this.
Yeah.
The episode starts with like the teaser is like this 1-page thing where the Sliders are having some kind of picnic, and it starts with them already they're hiding behind a boulder that is set aside from the picnic table, from the picnic blanket, and the timer is on the picnic blanket. And the reason that they're hiding is because there is a fire-breathing dragon that is now guarding their picnic. And so Quinn has to run and get the timer so they can escape. And so the beginning of when they land on the Hollywood world, they begin with Quinn having to get new clothes because his other clothes have been scorched by dragon fire.
Wow.
So you can see kind of like where they were going with some of these early third season episodes. Yeah. So, but by and large, once they get to the scripting phase, and then there's this whole thing where on Hollywood World, adults don't drive, kids are driving, and they're driving like Matchbox cars and Barbie cars, and even the taxi driver of like the weird taxi is a kid.
Wow.
It's never explained beyond that. It doesn't go anywhere beyond like when they are driving in the taxi, and then that's it. But by and large, when they get to the scripting stage, the script doesn't change much. There's anything that I've already mentioned most of what happened that's different from the writer's draft or the production script to the final shooting script.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great information. That's like, it's really like intriguing to see like what all the stuff they were thinking about and
yeah.
No, I mean,
yeah.
No, I was gonna say like the work you do on the site is just like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I can't take credit for a good chunk of this. James did the legwork in getting some of the older pieces for this. So all credit to James Sparrow. Thank you, James. You are awesome. But it is interesting because given the mandate that they had, and I think this episode was moved later in the season because they wanted to move up the Twister ripoff. They wanted to get that out there as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. The next one. Yeah.
But,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they had a mandate to make some weird stuff. And so when you see that weird stuff in these drafts and then it gets pulled back because they want to make something a bit more grounded, even though it's fantastical, I will give them full credit for that, because I can only imagine what, some of the veteran writers were dealing with. Paul Jackson has told me like some of the stuff that's had to come down was just bizarre. Fox really wanted a different direction for the third season. So when they incorporate this stuff, maybe I'm thinking, oh, they're doing it to kind of show how silly it can be or how ridiculous it can be for the executives. Or they're just testing things out. I don't know, but I was glad that the dragon wasn't in it. I'm glad that Aladdin the Talking Horse wasn't in it. I think Nan did a fantastic job with the finished product. All credit to Nan Hagan as well, because the finished product it's one of my favorite episodes of the third season.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you had some feedback from last time you were on, if you wanted to share that.
I did, yeah. So after the post-traumatic slide syndrome episode, I got an email from someone named Christopher. I got back in June. When did the PTSS episode drop? I forget. I don't know how.
I was it April? Was it?
Okay.
Forget.
So a couple months after he checked it out, and he wrote in just to say thanks for what you guys are doing on a week-to-week basis, and for what Earth Prime is as a resource. He, I think what's most relevant about his letter was that he didn't get into the show. Like, he first saw the pilot when he was a kid, and he didn't come back to the show until they aired Dead Man Sliding on the Sci-Fi Channel. So he got hooked back on that. But it's interesting because he is one of several people that have reached out to me over the years to say how Sliders touched them in a very personal way, whether it was like a family member passing or just a connection that they had with a friend. They've had interesting stories to tell. And I really love it when people are able to share either how they found Sliders or how Sliders impacted them in a very specific way. When Tracy Torme died, my obituary about him, it reflected like, I don't know what my life would be like without sliders. I got into it when I was, entering college. I was, it helped inform me as a screenwriter. It helped inform me as a writer in general, and just an enjoyer of television. And I've met so many people from it, and including you guys. And so it was really nice to hear from Chris. And Chris, if you're watching this, hey buddy, he just happened to start watching it again, and now he's into it, and now he's following Earth Prime, and he's checking things out, and he's watching you guys, and it's fun how, the show has been, it started 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, this is more than 30 years ago, and people are they're still engaged. And I thought that was so special. And so, kudos to you guys for keeping the torch going. You guys are way more active in the Sliders fandom than I am. I try, but it's just great to hear from guys. And so do you get emails like this? Do you get shout outs?
No, I mean, other than the comments I get, like the ones that we've been sharing. I mean, we haven't really gotten anything. I mean, I don't know about you, Mike, but I mean, we have like a shared email that we basically look at, but like we haven't really gotten much other than the outside of the comments that we get like on YouTube, which is like pretty good. But like we get a good amount of stuff, and when I share the stuff on Facebook groups and stuff, like some people will react to stuff. So but I mean that's great. I love that people are like that people are still like reacting to this. Like it's. I wasn't sure, and we started. I'm like, is anybody going to care that we're doing this? And apparently, they still do. So,
yeah,
it's a good. Yeah. It is a good feeling. Like, oh, we are doing something, I guess.
And I mean, there's a number of different video podcasts about sliders right now, right? I mean, there's a rewatch podcast, and I think there's at least a couple different.
Well, there's
video casts.
Video. I'm actually not really sure. I know that there's definitely like some irregular podcasts going on that are like, there's definitely some that are like they're not maybe doing it quite as frequently. Oh, I mean, there's the one, there's one that's kind of like where we are. I think they're a little ahead of us now. They're doing it too. They stream it. Sliding through dimensions, I believe it's called. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, which I've communicated with them too. Yeah. But I mean, it's great that we actually get some stuff. I mean, I was going to share one more that we like just got like literally like today from our bonus episode. Do you want to read it, Mike? Or you want me to read it? Can you read it?
Sure, I can read it. Yeah, yeah. So it's Chris, digital artist. I think we got a comment from them before.
Right.
It says thanks for the shout out. Just catching up now. Overall, I found the Sliders comics pretty entertaining. Too bad more weren't produced. That said, some of the moments you pointed out definitely felt like the characters were acting out of character. My highlights. Armada was decent, though I wasn't a fan of the Zerkurvians. Same goes for the Cro-Mags. Ultimatum probably had the strongest stories of the bunch. Darkest Hours wasn't bad. Narcotica had a solid premise, but the sudden shift in art style was distracting. Blood and Splendor is another favorite, probably the closest to feeling like a real episode. And Deadly Secrets is my least favorite and felt like the weakest entry overall.
Yeah, we didn't get to the last three yet, the specials. We didn't do those yet, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you want any of the materials that I have, I've got all the scripts for the comics. I have the Get a Life script. I've got all of the pitches that didn't get made. Those are all on Earth Prime. You're free to reference those if you want.
Yeah. We just didn't get to those. We did like the main 7 issues, and I like maybe at some point we'll cover the others. I know you had like you said, Get a Life, and I know there were ideas for like crossovers with Quantum Leap, which I was like, oh, I would have loved to have seen that stuff. I had ideas for that, and I know our friend Matt Dale, I think, had found out some information about all of that, because when he was researching stuff for the comics, and unfortunately he had passed away before he could publish that 3rd book. So, you had the Beyond the Mirror Image volumes, and then the 3rd volume was going to be all about the comics and all that stuff, and it never got published.
Okay.
He passed away. So, but anyway, maybe at some point we'll talk about all of that stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Yeah. All right. So this went longer than I expected. But I guess our final thoughts and ratings. I guess I'm the lowest one. I mean, it's not that low, but I guess it's kind of equal with how I felt with the last one. I think it's not bad, but it's not, like I said, not one of my favorites. So I guess 7.5 doctored videos out of 10. Because Mike, you stole mine. I was like, oh, that's mine. But
Oh well,
that's fine.
You got to get in there
I
first.
know. Yeah, it's like, what do I say? You did it.
Well, I felt it was a pretty big improvement over Rules of the Game, so I gave it 8 guillotined watermelons out of 10.
Nice. I went a little tame. I thought of some potentially controversial ratings, but I'll just go with 9 out of 10 guilty verdicts.
No, I mean, it's like I said, they're all decent ratings. I mean, it's like I said. I think I said it the last time that we're gonna get to a point where you get to like the end of season 3, and it'll probably be like in the negative ratings. So for me, anyway, I don't even know if I want to rate them. But all right, well, thank you so much, Matt. This is I was glad we could do this again.
Yeah, likewise. Anytime. I'm glad that my earbuds held out this time.
Oh
Yeah.
If you want to remind everybody, like the other, like when you got a comment from where they could find you and email you and let you know.
I think I've got my email address up at earthprime.com. Let me just confirm that. If not, I don't know. I'm available on earthprime.com, I promise you.
Okay, just take
I'm
it.
not
Just
trying to hide.
contact you. Email earthprime.com. Yeah.
Yeah, there's my email address is down at the bottom of Earth Prime.
Right.
It's at the footer.
Okay. All right. So, I guess you close it out, Mike, right? Since I opened.
Yep. Okay. Well, thanks again, Matt. Good to chat with you again, and appreciate all your insights as always.
Of course.
And next up in production order is Electric Twister Acid Test. Okay.
Yeah, I know. We'll have somebody join
It's
us.
beginning.
I'm just not sure. I haven't quite worked out the schedule, but like we're taking a break, so it's like But I'll figure it out.
We'll have fun with that one, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Either way. Until then, be sure to like and subscribe down below. Share your opinions on the episode in the comments. We'll do a roundup of comments in future videos. You can always visit our website at fandomentanglement.com. Our email is fandom.entanglement@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fandomentanglement. That's where Damon posts all the links to the videos and conversation topics and that sort of thing. You can find us over on Blue Sky, fandomentanglement.bsky.social, and as well on Mastodon, fandomentanglement.mastodon.social. So until next time, I'm Mike.
I'm Damon.
And I'm Matt.
We'll keep on sliding.
Right. Take care, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.